Have you considered how safe your darkroom is? Let's test our Safelights today.
Welcome to the Naked Photographer, where I'll be exposing myself. No, I won't. That sounded better in my head.
A lot of photographers will use what's called the coin test when they test their Safelights. That simply means placing a coin on a piece of photographic paper, exposing it to the Safelight for anywhere from 5, 10, even 20 or 30 minutes, and then developing the paper. And if what they're looking for is to see if there's a white silhouette that shows up, meaning that the paper has been fogged everywhere except where the coin is. However, that can give a false positive of a Safelight. The reason is it takes a certain amount of light to break the threshold of exposure and gain density. We use that fact to do something called pre-flashing, which we'll cover in a different video another day. If the Safelight doesn't have enough energy to break that threshold, then it won't show up on the coin test. However, if it gets close to the threshold, then any additional exposure, like your print, will come out with dull highlights. Or, conversely, your Safelight may actually produce enough light during the developer stage, or even before you get into the developer tray, to cause a burn on top of your actual exposure. So if you find that you're having contrast issues and your highlights and whites are always just a little bit dull, no matter what you do, you may have a bad Safelight. Fortunately, Kodak has given us a pretty good Safelight test. It's published on their paperwork called K4. I'll link to that in the description. It's a little bit more involved than just placing a coin on your piece of paper under the Safelight, but the extra work does produce decent results that you can interpret to show whether you're getting enough exposure from your Safelight to ruin your print. So let's take a look at that.
I am using a piece of black construction paper that is 9 inches by 12 inches in size. By contrast, my photo paper is 8 inches by 10 inches in size. The window needs to be 8 inches tall by 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to mark a 1-inch margin along one border. Simply take a steel rule and a pencil. Then figure where your center of your photo paper would be and move in 1/2 inch from there. That should be about 3.5 inches from the same edge as your previous margin. And mark your pencil line. Then I'm going to create a mark 9 inches from the top. This will give me a 1-inch margin on the bottom of the photo paper, and then 1 inches from the top. That will give me a 1-inch margin from the top of the photo paper. Carefully, with a sharp blade, cut the window out along your pencil line. Once you have all 4 sides cut out, you should have a window that is 8 inches tall by 2.5 inches wide. This will provide you 2 patches with a 1-inch margin on all sides.
Once you have that mask made, then you're going to need to do a test strip to figure out what kind of exposure time you need for your gray strip. Now, I have my enlarger up fairly high, and I have the lens stock down all the way in order to get a good time. The K4 paper will tell you that you need to have a density somewhere between 0.25 and 0.50 as read by a reflection densitometer. Now, not everybody has a reflection densitometer just waiting for this sort of thing. So they say you can also use the Kodak Reflection Density Guide, which is Q16. Now, I happen to have one. They are not easy to find, so don't go out and feel like you need to get one. But what we're looking for are the densities 0.25 all the way through 0.50, just kind of a light gray. Now this is a Kodak gray card. You can see that ideally we just want a light gray, something like a zone 7 would do. So just figure out what kind of exposure time. Let me see if I can get the glare off of that for you. Just try to find an exposure time that gives you a light gray on your test strip, and that's what we're going to use. So in my case, with my lens topped all the way down to f22 and about 3.5 feet between baseboard and lens, I have a printing time of 2.5 seconds. Once you have that mask cut, tape it down on your easel so it doesn't move. Get a piece of your photo paper and cut off one corner. Remember, this is going to be in complete darkness, pitch black, so you're going to have to do this by feel. So cut off one corner. That'll help you orient which way you've got the paper in there every time. Place it in your easel. And expose it for the time that you found on your test strip. Once you've done that, remove it. Place the paper on top of a tray, spare piece of plastic, anything near where your developer is, because that's where it's going to sit after exposure. You kind of want it in the same general area. So I've got it here right next to my developer. You want to expose it to the Safelight as is for 1 minute. Then you're going to cover 1/3 and do it for another 2 minutes. Then cover another third, leaving 1/3 exposed, for another 4 minutes. This will give you 1 minute, 3 minutes, and 7 minutes total. Once you're done with that, turn the Safelight back off. Then come back to your enlarger and orient that corner at 180 degrees from the first time. Place it back into the easel. And make a second exposure. This time, once you're done, you're going to process it in the trays. Alright, let's see what we got here. Okay, so this is a Thomas Duplex sodium vapor Safelight. This is what I use on a day-to-day basis in my darkroom. And this is with the vanes fully closed. You can see both of my strips are evenly exposed. And there's no darkened area in either the 1 minute, 3 minute, or 7 minute area. That means the Safelight's good to go. It's pretty dark in the darkroom, as the name implies, but I can see what I'm doing. I can see where I'm going. So this allows me to make the print. I can have the paper out for 7 minutes before it gets into the fixer, including the exposure, either before or after the exposure. So that's a good result. This is what we want to see. This is ideal. Hopefully that will get you through a fairly good Safelight test. As you can see, the Safelight that I am using, the Thomas Duplex Sodium Vapor Safelight, works for me pretty well. Now I have to have the vane stopped all the way down, so it's fairly dim, but it works pretty good for me. So if you conduct the Safelight test on your own, I hope you find that your Safelight is also working for you pretty well. If not, the test will show you and you can take steps to fix it. So thank you for watching. Next time, we're going to look at the results of a Safelight test for a variety of different lights. So join me then. In the meantime, please comment, like, and subscribe.